Hello and welcome to another installment of the Dugout Podcast. I'm your co-host Andrew, alongside my co-host Marissa, a bit remotely, but we're here and we're back. Marissa, nice to see you again.
Nice to see you too.
Thank you. So let's jump right into it. Uh, and I think we're going to start with some cricket. So our first talking point this evening is, yeah, West Indies defeating England in the first ODI by 4 wickets, chasing down 327 it was, I believe. So, Marissa,
Six or 3.5. One, two.
yeah, but I have a question for you. So, what impressed you the most about that result, that performance?
The fact that we win.
As simple as that.
As simple as that. Honestly, I didn't get to watch most of the game.
Hmm.
And then I would say for the last 15 overs.
Hmm.
Um, but I was following it on my phone, and then when I saw England got 325, I was like, bridge too far. Because I'm not really that impressed with our squad. To be honest. We got a lot of players I like. I think the balance is off. I think we only have five bowlers. So there's a lot wrong. So I was
Hmm.
like, "Hmm." But honestly, the way we batted, I thought was excellent. I thought Athens and King gave the side a really good start. Athens continues to impress. I think he made his debut against India early in the year, and now he's playing England. He looks like a real prospect for the future. And then Shea Hope came in and did what Shea Hope does. Really held the innings together, allowing persons to bat around him. I was impressed with Shepard's innings as well.
Hmm.
And I always felt, even though the commentators were talking about the run rate reaching 10-11, I always felt like if Shepard stayed in with Hope for a bit, considering his hitting ability, I felt like we were in it. But, with West Indies, you still got to be a little skeptical. But I thought Shea Hope's innings was excellent. It was his fastest one-day century. I found that since he became captain, he moved himself back to number four as opposed to opening the batting, and I think that's perfect for him.
Hmm.
It's perfect that he's not exposed to the new ball early, and he could just come in the middle and he could bat at whatever tempo because he's really been brilliant since he's become captain. And I think that innings really held the team together. We had little cameos from Hetmeyer and Shepherd, and as I said, Athens batted really well. And I really surprised me, to be honest. Really surprised me, but also very impressive.
Yeah.
And I know people are going to talk about, it's England B-side, but we are missing Puran, we're missing Carl Mears, we're missing Jason Holder. This ain't we first choice 11 by any stretch either. So I would say good job, West Indies.
Okay. And I agree with everything you said. Really. It was impressive. It was a bit of a surprise. I'm gonna start where you finished off in terms of people might say the B squad and we defeated the second string England. We have both been born the fact that our squad, our pool of players isn't necessarily deep. So to even beat a second string or let's say an experimental England side is still, still deserves some credit. Um, and in terms of the bowling or what's not the bowling department, you mentioned that you weren't happy with it. I didn't see. I saw bits and pieces, so I saw more so our change as opposed, sorry, our chase, sorry, as opposed to when we
Right.
were bowling first or feeling first. Um, and I was like back and forth between the football in a sense, but keeping in or what's not, I in the early part of the innings, or England's innings rather, I found that our bowling was maybe a bit too short. I felt as though the fellas, you know, were banging a bit too short too often. And historically, Antigua is a batting wicket, so they were being easy to dispatch, and England seemed to be off the fairly decent start. And then when they checked back again, I realized that we kind of seemed to claw our way back. And at one stage, it was like 200, and I want to say a little bit for seven or something like that. And
Yeah.
then there was a partnership between Karan and I'm not sure the other batsman's name. Help me out.
I can't remember either. Let me
Okay,
flip
no
out his
problem.
scorecard.
Sure. But there was a late partnership that propelled England to above 300, and I felt as though in my head I was like, oh dear. Clearly, then our bowling department doesn't seem to be um, as strong as it could be or as lethal, because obviously you expect that, we're from where England were going in the
Yeah.
last 10 overs, you're saying to yourself, damn, maybe it's an opportunity that we let slip by because we allowed them to get that total. But the batting is what really impressed me. The opening batsman, what's his name? Alec.
Athens, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, credit to the West Indies for coming for selecting a player to make me bite my tongue. So I'm not going to try to pronounce that name right now until I fully come to terms with it, because obviously I've seen the name before, but I haven't had to say out loud that often. So when I learn it properly, then I'll do him justice. But I didn't see him back. I think I saw when he got dismissed. I
Mm-hmm.
saw that, and then there was a couple of wickets that followed quickly by. But like you said, Shea Hope, really really solid innings. What impressed me the most, though, I might take away from it, is that we can be successful, but I think a lot depends on whether or not our players have the confidence and freedom to play their natural game. Because I felt like that was Shea Hope's natural game. Come in, get himself in, steady start, and then based on the situation of the game, adapt to it, and then you start to increase the tempo or the scoring rate. And even Romaro Shepherd, again, natural game, because he didn't necessarily come in, but he kind of scored quickly, but it wasn't a case where he really went after them. Right off the bat, I felt as though there was still like maybe an over or two settling period, and that was good. And so I felt like their natural games impressed me. And something that Darren Sammy said in the post-match interviews that I felt was fundamental, and I'm happy that I heard it, was that he said an important part of the preparation was that they were able to meet up in a camp and actually prepare and put things in place where people could get some confidence, get some continuity, and really learn their game again, their groove. And we've always been more the fact that a lot of the time when we have home series or away series, it doesn't seem to be sufficient thought and planning and preparation going in before the series. So I felt as though that was a positive change, and we'll see if this result can be built upon tomorrow. Actually, Wednesday, that's the next game.
Yeah. The day and night game, so guess I should be able to watch most of it. Although Chelsea Man U tomorrow as well. Whatever.
Exactly.
I'll balance. Yeah, but I thought it was a good performance. And I know England are shell shocked, but to be honest, when you look back at England's World Cup campaign,
Mm-hmm.
um, Sam Curran played a few games and he got dropped. Gus Atkinson played a few games. The new leg spinner, he wasn't there, but he's a good prospect for the future. England's bowling is still continues to be worrisome.
Mm-hmm.
You had King and Athens putting on 100 for the first wicket. I mean, that's very rare in West Indies cricket.
Mm-hmm.
But I think England, I don't know, England bowling still looks a bit thin. And I think as long as we don't allow them to post like 350, 400, I think this game shows that we could probably match them batting wise. But we do need, I think, I don't know, like I said, I don't like the bounces. I thought Sikarti's innings was awful.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but he also had an awful Super 50, so it's not really a surprise.
Right.
So it would be good if we could get an all-rounder in there, to be honest, because I think England also showed the importance of a six bowler, because we were talking about Sam Curran getting that penultimate over, and
Yeah.
literally I think he bowled the most expensive spell ever for English bowler in ODI cricket. Like, he was poor. He has been poor for a really long time, actually.
But we say poor, but like honestly, obviously, I'm not saying that they're similar in terms of skill or what's not, you
Mm-hmm.
know, um, proficiency. But he almost reminds me a bit of. I hope I'm not shooting myself in the foot with this comment. But let's say early James Anderson, who seemed to be only be able to bowl well in English conditions. I feel as though
Mm-hmm.
Sam Curran excels when the ball is swinging, when there's something for him in the pitch. I don't see him excelling or being as lethal or even effective away outside of those conditions where we say the conditions favor the bowlers or it's really ideal. And
Yeah.
I feel as though that's where his issue came in. And we, targeted him. You mentioned that they need a six bowler, and that was my concern because, like you said, when we spoke after the game, I would have answered you well. I was very surprised that Josh Butler tossed the ball back to Curran for penultimate over, considering the fact that he had a bowled 8 overs and might for like almost just over 70 runs or so.
Mm-hmm.
if I was a captain, he wasn't getting back that ball. That's just the bottom line. Even if I got a ball myself, I don't know. I know how you come back from such a lashing or such a beating. Especially like I can understand, for example, if one of the key or set batsmen got out, and then you
Mhm.
bring him back to bowl at a new batsman, but that did not happen either. So I don't know where you brought him back, you know, into the attack to bowl at death because to me there was only going to be one result, which is that
They
he
had
get
a choice
transferred.
though. Like I just took a peek at England top six. None of them don't bowl. I don't know if
Uh,
you would have maybe throw a ball to Zach Crawley and maybe I think he could turn his arm over, but that decision would have probably needed to be taken earlier in the
right.
innings. At least
Yeah.
give yourself some insurance, but it wasn't. So
You
yeah,
think that
that seems to have
England?
a similar problem.
You think that England underestimated us by only selecting five bowlers and not necessarily loading it up with an alternative in case something happened?
That's a good question because that's really the England way. England
Mhm.
always prides themselves on having multiple options. The only time they didn't do it was when they got pasted by South Africa in World Cup 2, and then they quickly binned it and went back to their 6-7 bowler strategy. So it's a
Right.
bit strange that they did because England have a lot of utility players. So I will have
Right.
to take a closer look at the squad to see, but it is a surprise that they only went in with five bowlers because that's not how they usually operate.
That's why I was surprised. That's why when they asked you if there's nobody else that can bowl over or two or give you like 3 or 4 overs in the innings, I was very surprised.
Yeah.
But yeah, good win by the West Indies. And let's hope, fingers crossed, that we can build upon it. And win the series. Because I think that would be a definite step in the right direction.
It's true. You will definitely get some people from Kensington coming out.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. So move on now to a topic that I alluded to talking about, I think, the last time we had this show, which
Hmm.
was Everton's point deduction in the Premier League. I read on it finally,
Hmm.
and I think for me, even without knowing details, I felt it was harsh. And now knowing details, I definitely feel it's harsh. Like
Okay.
definitely. I
Hmm.
think they only I understand the rationale and the logic. I think I saw something like when they were doing their budgeting and their prediction, they predicted that they would finish sixth. Like that's a bit. I don't know why they would do that, but you know they only went over what they were supposed to by 19.5 million, and that seems like a drop in the bucket right now in football. So I think
Hmm.
10 points is really 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 harsh in my opinion.
Okay. Um, I see everybody saying, it feels harsh, it feels unjust to a certain degree. Do I feel it's harsh? I'm not so sure. And when I say I'm not
Coming
so
from
sure,
a Liverpoolian,
no, it's not because it's not because I'm a
exactly.
Liverpool. It's not because I am a Liverpool fan. The reason that I don't know if to call it harsh or not is because you know harsh is relative to the context and when the punishment happens. Like for example, if it happened last season, you could say it was harsh because then everything would have got relegated. If it happened, let's
Mhm,
say if they brought charges in March, coming towards the end of the season, and then that happened, then you could
mhm.
say it's harsh because it almost guarantees that everything would definitely go down. Um, and I think because this is the first. Don't forget, this is the first time in Premier League history where a team has actually been deducted points. To my
Mhm.
recollection, this is
I think
this is like kind of precedent. I think what they're trying to do is that they're trying to you know be firm or be straight in a sense to ensure that all clubs operate within their financial means.
mhm.
To answer your question about why Everton would have budgeted or because there was some basically mismanagement of funds, and it led to them losing more than the stipulated amount within the last 3 year period. Uh, but to answer your question about why they would have budgeted for potentially finishing sixth or higher in the table, don't forget that before COVID, their manager would have been, I think, Ashley at one point, and then before that, maybe Martinez, and that's when they were bringing in a more different profile players. Remember, James went there. They were
Mhm.
can't remember all now, but
Fair
they
enough.
yeah. So I think at the time their ambition was we want to push for Europe.
Mhm.
So it may have been a bit naive, to be honest. But at the same time, I could kind of understand, their logic or their thinking at that point in time. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I feel that look, for me, this is not to say it's not harsh, but for me, I think it's too early to say definitively if it's harsh. And I think why people might think it's harsh or unfair, as well as because the other issues that are happening among other Premier League clubs that haven't been dealt with yet. So it's almost a case, well, is this fair?
I understand what you mean, but when I say it's harsh, I mean in isolation, just looking at it in terms of the amount of money that they went over by. It just
Hmm.
feels 10 points for what is a dropping bucket. But I understand what you're saying.
I don't know if it's a
Um,
drop in the bucket. You think it's a drop in the bucket?
I mean in football,
But not no, because don't forget the Premier League has like I think Premier League has like the most losses from a financial perspective, in world football. So like I feel as though to have continuous losses year on year out is not sustainable. It's not sustainable. So I feel as
fair
though they're
enough.
trying to eliminate that. So that's the thing.
Fair enough.
Dropping bucket is it's really really relative. Um, but like honestly, a rule is a rule. That's it. I think where they might have expected to get a bit of sympathy or leniency, maybe a better word, would be the fact that they were cooperative. They
Mm.
were outright in the mistakes that they made, and you know I think what is going to put a lot of focus on what happens with Manchester City. I alluded to the other clubs who have supposed or impending sanctions coming. I know that Chelsea also has impending, well, haven't been charged yet, but I don't think there's nothing there because again, your are more to do with your previous owners and what they did as opposed to new owners, and you guys brought it to the Premier League's attention. So I think that
Yeah,
that should
that's
give you all some credit. And
yeah.
I don't expect any punishment really to come towards Chelsea because I think that would be unfair. Um,
Yeah, because I did mention that on the last show and I did confirm it today that it was in relation to Abramovich some
right.
in between 2020 something and 2019. It ended in
It's
2019.
2012 or 2019 or something like that.
Right. And I think when the new owners came in, they had already set aside some money in case
Yeah.
if they saw irregularities, which they did, and they reported it. So I
Correct.
agree. I think I'm sure you're going to be one of the few in the football world that actually says that it will be unfair if anything happens. But
Yeah.
I think um I think it would be unfair, but I still expect some sort of punishment. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe a transfer ban or something again. It wouldn't surprise me.
And touching on City again, City is the one that's going to be a bit more like dicey because City
Yeah.
did get the 2 year ban from Europe and then it was overturned in the court arbitration,
Yeah.
and that was because I guess time constraints in the sense that I guess in Europe there is something as time limitation. The Premier League doesn't have
Hmm.
that problem, so you could have
Hmm.
done something 25 years ago if they feel like bring a case against you. I guess they can. But City's issues are different to Everton's in the sense that it is alleged that City would have not been honest about their financial.
Blatantly cheated
Yeah,
and
exactly.
fudging information.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but the problem that you will have with City, and that's why UEFA wasn't able to get the charge to stick, along with the time limitation or whatever the case would be. Uh, is the burner proof? Can you prove it?
Mm.
So I don't know. City, well, I don't know, but
So I
I
saw
think.
that the trial for that is scheduled for next year sometime.
Mhm, mhm.
Um, I'm interested to see what will happen. I think if you bring 115 charges against somebody, you got some sort of proof.
Well, you would hope so,
Mm.
but again, I'm not so sure because the City isn't like City is saying we have something to hide either. Yes, they might not have been, or it appears that they haven't been like open about their financial and management of funds and what they have done, whatever the case it be. But at the same time, they have always maintained that they're innocent and they have nothing to hide, and they have welcomed the charge. They come,
Mhm. Yeah.
fight you in court. So as I heard, like for example, Mr. Jordan on Talk Sports said before, it could take a few years, maybe possibly 7, before City face any punishment, if at all.
Mm.
So yeah,
Interesting. Well, I guess we'll wait with bated breath
Yeah,
to see what will happen there. Um, but a real interesting issue that arose today
mhm,
was some interesting news coming out to Old Trafford. We all know they have a big game tomorrow against Chelsea,
great.
which we could touch on a bit. Um, but news came out that they banned a few journalists from their press conference today. Manchester Evening News, Sky, The Mirror, I think somebody else too. What are your thoughts on this? Because I have some.
Okay, so yeah, news did break that they did ban some journalists. I think the reason is that they feel as though stories have been printed or put out in the public domain without, fact checking. Put it that way. Which journalists should do. Journalists are
Fact
supposed to
checking.
want to get.
Let me correct you. Fact
Go ahead.
checking, not even fact checking, just giving them opportunity to comment. There's a reason I say that, but continue.
But that is kind of like fact checking because, for example, if I'm a journalist and I find
Mm-hmm.
out something about you, Marissa, from
Mm-hmm.
what I might think to be a credible source, and let's say I
Mm-hmm.
have credible sources, so let's say is three people that are close to
Mm-hmm.
that give me that source. Uh, I think in the interest of what's the word? In the interest of
Integrity,
ethics, right,
credibility.
of ethics and stuff like that. I feel
Mm-hmm.
there's nothing wrong with reaching out to the source itself, and at least giving you a chance to either respond, comment, or contextualize what has
Fair,
been alleged. So I think
fair.
that's where mine were coming from. But I do think it's a quite extreme step to then decide that you're gonna, for that particular reason. I'm pretty sure our journalists have done worse. Are you gonna,
Me,
you
right?
know, ban these particular news outlets from your press conference? And it just speaks to a club that is just feeling the pressure. You know, a team that's like almost collapsing under the weight of expectation and demands of that particular club. And I honestly believe that decision, I'm not sure if that decision was taken by the club or taken by Ten Hag himself. Because he seems to be really, really, despite his best, attempts to hide it, he seems to be really, really, what's the word, frosty? Like, yeah, you get
Just
what I'm
in
saying.
time for Christmas. Frosty, the snowman.
Well,
Anyway,
but yeah, so yeah, that's my takeaway. And I honestly believe that there is, because we kind of like alluded to it a couple of weeks ago when we mentioned Sancho, for example. I do believe that there is some proof in the pudding in this regard. I do believe that there is some dissension amongst the group of players. He can't tell me otherwise, and the reason being is because that players, regardless of whatever anyone says, they want to win. They believe that they want to win. They want to be more successful. I do believe that they're not. I do believe that in some quarters they're not happy with some. So I believe that some of them are not happy with their playing time. I believe that some are not happy with the style of football that they're being asked to play sometimes. And I do believe that they're also not happy with the treatment of their colleagues, you know, um, by this particular manager in recent times. I do. So yeah.
you say that you believe there's some truth, 100%.
Mhm.
Like he didn't. What I found so interesting about these comments was that he didn't accuse the journalists of printing lies.
Mhm.
He didn't accuse journalists of making it up. He never denied anything. In fact, he said something like, "Yeah, a few players have spoken to me, but on the main, most of them like how we're training and how we're playing and stuff." Like to me, that's basic confirmation that it's true.
Mhm.
What they're upset about is that they didn't get a chance to maybe kill the story before it came out. Because
Right.
I understand that sometimes if a journalist goes to a club could be like, okay, nah, we really don't want you to run the story or whatever. But there's definitely truth in that. I think I've been watching my United since their preseason, and they have been rubbish every time I've watched them. The only game that I would say they didn't deserve to really lose was probably the Everton game. And even then, Everton should have scored a few, but Everton don't score goals. So, but Man United have largely been awful this season. in almost every single game, and that's unprecedented. You at least see size at least turning out a good performance once or twice, but they have been really, really, really poor. And I see a lot of people being critical of how their players have essentially almost gave up against Newcastle.
Mm-hmm.
Like Newcastle were all over them. And like I see some
Like a
people
hot rush.
criticizing yeah. Martial, Rashford, players not really tracking back, players not really giving their all. Like it's clear that there's something off there. You look at the Varane situation, there's definitely a falling out there. Like there's definitely some you can look at Man United and tell that it's a club where all is not right behind the scenes. So I think that that's why Ten Hag is Frosty the Snowman right now.
Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly why Chelsea can lose tomorrow.
Let me check. Wait, before we get to Chelsea, wait, Chelsea gonna lose. Comment. Couple things.
Uh,
All right. So remember, I think it was the first person to say it on your show, and they said that I could see why Varane wasn't playing. It had nothing to do with tactics. It was that Ten Hag basically saying that what you're giving me is not what I think is acceptable, and then obviously there's not a you know an agreement there, right?
mhm.
So it's resulting in Varane not playing the last few weeks or last few games rather. Um, the whole idea of training again that is really bizarre because some one thing that I've been known about Man United is that I've always said that they don't appear to be a team that's fit. And when it's a team that's fit,
Mhm.
because when I was growing up, a lot of the games that Man U won, especially at home, would have been the last, let's say, 20, 50 minutes of the game. And the reason being is because when other teams start to get tired, Man U would have been, one of the fittest teams around at that stage. And they
Mhm.
were able then to really put teams under pressure and push for that winner, so to speak, or if they're winning, rack up the goals in the last 10 minutes, right? And make it comfortable. But what he says is interesting and it's really strange because most coaches seem to train intensely during preseason because the idea is to build up the fitness before the season actually starts. Because during the season, when you have so many games, it's then difficult to train with the same intensity and then want to come and play every 3 or 4 days when you're in multiple competitions with that same intensity if the training is indeed too tough. So that's really, really strange. If in fact, don't know this, but if in fact Ten Hag is training them really, really intensely. Because, like, for example, you always hear coaches mostly speak about, recovery after games. And maybe one session where we do tactical stuff or a team meeting. But you really don't have time in the season to do any sort of like rigorous training. So that
Mhm.
is a surprise for me. What were the other problems about they're not happy with how players are being treated at the club? We mentioned Sancho already. We don't have to go over that. But again, I know people might say, for example, that um, Sancho hasn't done well for Man United since he's been there, so they don't understand why his teammates would, you know, be upset over the fact how he's being treated because he's a crucial player for them right now. But at the same time, you can't have it both ways. On the one hand, you want to say that they're not united on the pitch, but at least they're united off it. So because it's stand up for the teammate when he's being unjustly treated, and we both said that's a bit harsh. The reported things that he's being asked to do.
Yeah, it bordering on pity.
Exactly. So I don't fault them for that in respect. Now that doesn't mean that they shouldn't go and give their all. And again, this whole idea about not trying or giving up. I would not say that they give up against Newcastle. I just think that Newcastle were far superior in every facet of the game. I remember we spoke about this a couple of times. Man, you don't necessarily have an efficient way of playing out under pressure. So Man, you don't press well and they don't play out when they're being pressed well.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? So it was just like a swift turnover of possession all the time. I don't think that's the case that they're not trying. Like for example, you started with Martial up top, but Martial is not was never the kind of striker that's going to hold a ball up for you. Martial is the kind of striker that if you give him a ball to chase, Rashford included, if you give him balls to chase in behind, they might get there first and then they might be able to do something from there. Or if you win the ball high up the pitch and give it to them, they might be able to create an opening. But they were never they're not the profile of especially Martial, not the profile of striker who would necessarily be able to, chest a ball that's, mid chest height or whatever it case to be, or bring it down and control it and bring others into play. That's not their game either. And then you have Martial. I don't know if you saw the clip with him and Ten Hag arguing during the first half.
I heard about it though.
And Martial got it. I mean, Martial is one of those players that I've been critical of for a long time. He got the audacity to fling his hand and he remonstrating with Ten Hag. That's the moment where Ten Hag should put on his foot. Because when that happened, Martial shouldn't come off his second half. Come back sit on the bench next to me. Since he won coach the game too. I don't understand. And people talking about Martial is indicative of mistakes have been made. It's not about mistakes that have been made. I'm pretty sure Man U have called agents. They have tried to offload Martial. Money bringing us our money for Martial or wants to pay those type of wages.
True. It's very true actually. Yeah, it's true. Your comment there though about Martial just reminded me of something I think you had said as well a few shows back where about Ten Hag's man management. And it's clear that's why even though I don't agree with how Sancho went about the situation, it's clear that there's still some underlying truth there in terms of Ten Hag having favorites. Because look at how he treated Ronaldo. Not saying Ronaldo's reaction was the best, if
Great.
not all good. But he wants to put his foot down with somebody like Ronaldo. But then Martial disrespects him, which I think is disrespect like that, and still coming up for the second half. Rashford, you criticizing Sancho in terms of his training levels, but yet you defending Rashford when Rashford looks like that in games sometimes. Rashford sometimes looks so disinterested. And I know you always say he's a proper patch footballer or whatever, but it's not good enough. The amount of money he's being paid, he's basically the face of that club. I was actually surprised Ten Hag had the guts to take him off against Newcastle, but I just think that Ten Hag has a bit of double standards in terms of who he shows a straight, tough love approach with and who he allows to get away with murder.
What would say about Rashford though? Grimson said it best. A top player is someone who doesn't, and this is not to say that top players don't have spells of bad form on an off season. It happens. But for the most part, they're players who do it season on season on season. Think of Cristiano Ronaldo. Think of Lionel Messi. Think of Didier Drogba. Think of Mohamed Salah. Think of Brazilian Ronaldo, who was injured a lot. Think of even Harry Kane. Numbers always up there. Top players or what we call, exceptional talents are those who do it season by season, on a consistent basis. I remember Rashford's debut match when he scored 2 goals in a victory against Arsenal. Man United had a lot of injuries under Van Gaal. I think that might have been in, I want to say maybe 2016 or so, or maybe 2015.
Yeah, because I think he was 17, 18 at the time.
Correct. He's now 26. This almost a decade later. You understand? And last season was Rashford's first season where he scored in excess of 30 goals in the season. That tells you, without being disrespectful, that tells me that his numbers are never going to be prolific. And when I say proper patch footballer, I'm not saying it to be disrespectful necessarily. I'm just saying it to establish that he should not be in the top bracket of attackers if you want to talk about the elite players in this league right now. I would say he's like probably a tier underneath level 2.
I don't always agree with Souness, but I thought that was a very, very good distinction between what is a great footballer and what is a good footballer. Like he said himself, that word "great" gets thrown around so much,
so loosely.
Like
right?
I hear Jamie Carragher call Tottenham that he always thought Tottenham was a top team. That's also something that I don't know why you're going to refer to certain. Like I just think we are so when we see somebody doing well, we are so quick to praise them or give them the highest note of praise without tempering it a bit. Like, come on, Spurs is a team that just lost 3 games in a row and score a late equalizer against City, and again we continuously praising them. But anyways, that's a side note. But what's true, I just personally think that everybody always talk about, oh, Rashford is a great player, this body is such a great player. The key is consistency. And that's why somebody like Saka, when he first came in the Arsenal side, and how them is always high put them players. But you've seen Saka, I think tonight is his 200th appearance for Arsenal. he has been consistently producing for them. And I think he's becoming the type of player that you can then put in that bracket because he's done it year after year after year. Saka has been way more consistent for Arsenal over these 200 games than I've seen Rashford be for 500 games for Man United. And I just
Right.
think that pundits, fans were too quick to put these labels on teams and these labels on players without looking at longevity. And that's key. You mentioned Harry Kane. Again, Spurs player, can't stand him, man. Whatever. But he is a great footballer. He is a great striker because he does it year in, year out, season in, season out. So I think people need to, maybe if people had less expectations of Rashford, maybe he would get less criticism. But yeah, that's just my 2 cents.
But the thing is that for a lot of Rashford's time at Man United has been, for the most part, a period where they have been able to consistently challenge for big honors, or for the biggest honors rather. So I think he's been one of the few players at the club who people have looked to as because he's had big moments. He's had moments at times. So where people say that there's a real player, as soon as we say there's a real player in there.
Player in there.
Correct, exactly. And I'm not saying that they're wrong, but I think we're running into the lane now where people are starting to make excuses for Rashford. Like for example, you would hear, for example, because remember there was a period of time under Jose, especially where he couldn't get anything. It was like he was more like an off bench player in part substitute as opposed to became week out starter. That was a period of time. And Jose normally use him on the wing. And then he was like, oh, Rashford want to try playing as a striker. Now you're hearing, oh, Rashford don't want to play 3 mil. He won't come off of me. So which one is it? The matter of the fact is that, and I agree with Caragron on this point. The matter of the fact is that we should never ever question whether or not you look interested or you look like you train or what's not. Like as Joaquin would say, that's your job. The bare minimum is effort, and I don't know if the case that he's not training or he looks disinterested. I think it's more the latter. He looks disinterested. I'm not saying he wouldn't train, but I think it's not only him. You have to look at the others around him. The team has not been. We spoke about the squad and the composition of the squad a couple of weeks ago. The squad is not assembled in a manner that allows their best talents to flourish. And that's the truth, and that's the problem. And I don't know how many more windows Ten Hag can get because not like just came.
Yeah. So, do you think he's in trouble?
If I think he's in trouble? Yeah. I know he's in trouble. No, I know that he's in trouble. Chelsea tomorrow? Yeah, Ten Hag is in trouble because at the end of the day, because I know I'm happy to say, I was happy to sit back and allow everybody to run with that narrative. But he did well. I know, right? Like I want to know. I was happy to sit back and allow we all to run with that narrative. He finished what? He finished 4th last season, and he won the Carabao Cup, correct? If I'm wrong, yeah. Right, good. And so now the expectation has risen.
The FA Cup final too.
And the FA Cup final, exactly, the expectation has risen. And I said to you, because I always like to make this distinction. There's a difference between big club and big team. Mine will always be big club. This incarnation of Man United is not a big team. But if the narrative last year for me was more along the lines of if the narrative was more along the lines of the season was a success in terms of that team, in terms of rebuilding a potentially big team, I would say okay, there's room for encouragement, and that's all I took from it last year. There's something for encouragement because I know last year they were more like eking out results as opposed to playing teams off the park. And the biggest indictment on Ten Hag, right, and I'll finish with this, and I have nothing more to say about Man United this evening. The biggest indictment that I would say about Ten Hag is the fact, Marissa, I feel insulted. You want to know why I feel insulted, and the media should feel insulted, and fans across the globe should feel insulted? Because Ten Hag trying to insult our intelligence. Because it's wear glasses, so we got 4 eyes, but most people got 2. This man won't come and tell us that the team has shown togetherness and unity. Look at the win against Brentford. Look at this. Look at
Not
that.
only that, they're playing well and they're making progress.
And then making progress exactly because we don't understand football. We can't tell the distinction between when a team, on the up or progressing well, and when the team not doing so well and is struggling, but it eking out a result. Because we know the difference. So we stupid. Because that's what he trying to tell me. But anyhow, so that's where he draw in trouble. And if you don't be careful, he ain't last in New Year.
Yeah, because their fixtures from here on out are pretty tough till the new year. So we will see. So moving on. Leaderboard update and predictions. Now, we missed last week, but week before was a very historic week. Do you know why the week before was a very historic week? Because for the first time in Dugout Podcast history, one of us got absolutely zero predictions. And I just want to say, I predicted it. I did say that my predictions were trash, and they all turned out to be trash. I did not even get one prediction right. Not even one.
You didn't get one right? I'm pretty sure you got one result right.
Nope.
Wait. Okay, go ahead.
Not one. I predicted Chelsea will win against Newcastle. I predicted Spurs and Villa will draw. I predicted Everton will win. Liverpool play that week?
Yeah, we did.
Who won the play that week?
I can't remember.
City.
Yes. Yeah. I predicted a draw.
Right. Yeah, I predicted a City win.
Yeah.
It was an awful week. It was. I am literally embarrassed to do this part of the show right now because I had a stinker. I had a true and awful stinker. So, just an update. You have now taken a 2-point lead because of that this disastrous week that I had.
Right.
So you now have 16 points and I am stuck on 14.
Okay.
So I need to do better this week. I need to come storming back. I think we want to do midweek and weekend.
Weekend, yeah.
Both maybe and weekend.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, yeah, I guess so, yeah.
Right. So the first one, well, Arsenal and Luton playing no.
Right.
So we won't bother to predict that one.
What's the score, by the way? I haven't checked any results.
3-3 the last I checked.
3-3?
Yeah.
Luton Town, man. Listen, for anybody that won't know, I was in Luton over the summer. I did have my team. Luton Town. I got 3 teams. Well, actually, I only got 1 team. But I have 2 teams I have affection for. That's Luton Town and West Ham United because they were absolutely wonderful hosts. And, my team is Liverpool. But Luton Town, man. Kenilworth Road. You know what I'm trying to tell you? Continue, Marissa. All right.
You sure you're done?
I'm very sure. I'm very sure.
Great. I hope your team could hold up for a result that will be fitting for you. Anyways, moving on to your actual team that you actually support.
Correct.
Sheffield United v Liverpool. Well, not Liverpool, but Sheffield just sacked their manager and Chris Wilder is back.
Right, Chris Wilder is back. I am gonna go 2-0 Liverpool win.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. 2-0 Liverpool. I was thinking 3-1, but Sheffield don't score either. So But last time I predicted that Sheffield weren't gonna score, they did score, and Man U win the game 2-1. Anyways, whatever. 2-0 Liverpool, I go with that. And the big midweek fixture, Chelsea away to Manchester United.
Chelsea away to Manchester United. You should really go first since I went first for the last one. But
that's true. It's okay. I'll go first.
Sure. Okay.
2-2.
2-2. Okay. I was leaning towards a draw as well. But I'm gonna go 2-1 Chelsea win. I think that you're gonna go. I think that when it rains, it's gonna pour. and I think that you're going to go and get a win at Old Trafford.
The reason why I don't predict a win is because we have not won at Old Trafford in 10 years, number one. And number two, anytime is a bad time to play a team, they always put up a result against us. I remember, I would never forget this. I use this as an example because it was just around Christmas time too. When Arteta was having an absolute stinker of a season with Arsenal, on the verge of the sack, like literally on the verge of the sack. And Chelsea went there, and Arsenal beat I think it was 3-0 or 3-1. And then that was all she wrote. So every time it's a good time for Chelsea to play a side, we just don't do well. So yeah, it won't be surprising if it's a draw or even a loss.
Okay.
But my thing with Chelsea, I think that came back again. I said it after the City draw. I need to see consistency. They went away to Newcastle, had a complete implosion. Dugout. It's just too inconsistent. So you never know where you're going to get from Chelsea. So that's my prediction. Aston Villa versus Manchester City. City had a tough run of fixtures these last few weeks, boy.
This tomorrow as well?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to go 2-0 City win.
2-0 City. Aston Villa are great at home. I'll go 2-1. 2-1 City.
Okay.
City need a result. City is going to want to win. When's the last time we ever saw City draw 3 in a row?
I can't remember, but I don't think City are going to drop points tomorrow. And more importantly, I know people say, well, Aston Villa are really good at home, yada yada yada. I mean, I'm still not convinced by Aston Villa and Emery. I think I'll just be honest, and I've said it more than once. I think there's a lot of trash in the Premier League, so and a lot of pretenders to the real deal. And I feel as though when Villa play teams outside the real deal, they get good results. I think against elite teams, I think Villa
Spurs away from home. They did beat Spurs away from home.
I think that's down to Spurs doing jump because I don't know how Spurs contract to lose to Villa. But anyhow, miracles do happen occasionally.
Fair enough. So Everton at home to Newcastle United.
They're still tomorrow as well.
I think so. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, tomorrow have a lot of games.
Right.
All right, so Everton at home to Newcastle. I'm gonna go 2-1 Newcastle.
What will I go to? Everton don't score goals. Everton don't score goals. I didn't think they were bad against United, I think I go to 1 Newcastle too, to be honest. And
okay.
This is not me siding with you and riding you coattails because I had a bad week. Okay. I
was not thinking that at all. Just to be clear.
Yeah. Whatever.
I mean, I'm not thinking that at all. The reason being is that before the prediction started, I said that I was going to win 2 in a row. Nothing. Even the fact that you were, in the lead, nothing, indicated to me that would not happen. So there's no reason for me to try to overthink this or suggest that you're trying to predict the same results as me. Of course not. Just saying.
You done?
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
And the final game of midweek, Tottenham at home to West Ham.
Ooh.
Windies.
I am going to go. Ooh, damn it! this was a difficult one to call. Okay, I'm gonna go 2-2, a 2-2 draw. I think there are gonna be goals in this one.
Yeah, I actually think Spurs are gonna win this. I'm gonna go with 3-2 Spurs.
Okay.
Gosh, I hate predicting Spurs. It's feel wrong in my throat. Anyway, moving on to Saturday. Crystal Palace versus Liverpool. Is this another early kickoff?
Yes, it is actually.
No way, man.
But remember, I said it's not. Remember, I said I think the issue is after
I know
after
after
and
the
after
international
break.
break, but still
Yeah.
though, still.
Well, it is what it is. We'll deal with it. Trip to Selhurst Park. I'm gonna go a 2-1 Liverpool win. I'll go 2-1. Selhurst Park is always a tricky place to go, but hopefully we
Hmm.
won't drop points.
I am going to go 3-1 Liverpool. Next game, Manchester United at home to Bournemouth.
Go Man United 2-1 Bournemouth.
I have not watched Bournemouth in. I've not watched Bournemouth since they played Chelsea. That was eons ago. So I didn't know what to predict. I guess I'll go with 2-0 Man United. Um, Villa at home to Arsenal. Whew,
Right.
I think I'll take
Villa
this one
Arsenal. You take this
because I
one
think
first,
you've
okay?
been going first for a while, and we didn't even realize. Um, this game's still at 3-3. Yeah, game's still at 3-3. I could see Villa winning this,
Mm.
I know people have been saying the praises of Arsenal and stuff, but I think that as impressive this season as last season, in my opinion. I think they're chinks in that armor that haven't quite been exploited. And I believe Villa are good at home. You know what? I gave a draw. 2-2.
Okay. 2-2. I'm gonna back Villa to win this one actually. Because of because Emery, the spice, the way how they treated that man.
How could I forget?
I'm gonna go to
I want
one
to change my
after
prediction.
Villa. You want to what?
I want to change my prediction.
Reload changes. No, we know what'll be a next
No,
sport. Go
we're
ahead.
not allowing it. We're not allowing changes. I already say.
Alright, so I'll go Villa to 1.
Yeah, I think that's a good show. Man City away to Luton.
Luton Town.
Don't start.
Kenilworth Road.
Don't start.
I've been there before. Kenilworth Road. I'll go 3-0 City though. I think City are too good a side to drop points even to my beloved Luton Town. The City F not the football club. The City F not the football club.
I going with Luton are a bad side at home, I must say. They are. They are. Not laughing at me then.
Yes, I am.
But I will go 4-0 City.
Okay. Ooh, going big. They're the bad side at home, but I'll go for it. Big contradiction. Whoa.
Whatever. One of the worst fixtures I absolutely hate on a away trip to Goodison. Like, I hate it. I hate this fixture with a passion. But I'll take the reins. 2-1 Chelsea.
2-1 Chelsea?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go 2-1 Everton.
He's a wicked brute.
No. Because I think that this is another step in Everton's recovery. Chelsea, Goodison Park gonna be rampant.
It's true.
And when things get rampant for y'all syndicating. So that's why going with Everton.
Right? Like a stack of cards. Anyways, it's actually not a bad prediction. I always expect to go to Goodison and lose, but I ain't back the boys this time. And the final game of this weekend, Tottenham at home to Newcastle. Big game.
This is a big one for Drew. I gotta think with this. I'm gonna go 2-1 Newcastle. I'll tell you why though. Not because I necessarily think that Newcastle are better than Tottenham or vice versa, but in terms of right now, I think that this game is a game where Tottenham could match Newcastle and even get a result. But I just think with Newcastle's attack, the boy Isaac up front, and Gardner's been playing well. Amaron as well. I just think with the injuries that Tottenham have in defense, I just feel as though Newcastle get the break.
Yeah, I agree with Newcastle win. I was actually going to go 3-2. So, guess we see some bold calls, some safe choices for me because I really need to get on the board again after that disgraceful week. Just to update you, it is still 3-3. I'm not sure how much added time being played, but it's now the second minute of added time. Still 3-3.
And this game is playing at Arsenal? This game is playing at Arsenal?
No, that was said Luton at home. Luton at home. Luton in the past at home. I did see though.
I don't know about. Anyway, let me hush.
I did see on social media that Raya had 2 stinkers. I guess I'll have to see for myself because I know people are.
That's his fault. That's Arteta's fault. That was happening on fair good night. I just joking.
I know you're just joking.
At this point in time.
I know you're just pulling Ramsdale father leg. That's what's happening when you take the smell from people face now.
Exactly. You know?
Hot mess.
Look at how to turn back with tail between legs and back Maguire. Can't defend from it.
I cannot. Anyways, it's been another good show. With the Christmas season, our location tends to be a bit dicey with different activities and stuff going on. But we will see if we'll be back in studio next week or if we're still online next week. But whatever happens, we'll definitely be hoping to bring you another show because I think by then the ODI series will be completed. The English will be here in Barbados. And yeah. Looking forward to the football, looking forward to the cricket, and we will see what happens. So don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Follow the Dugout Podcast on Instagram. We will put the links for those in the description. Follow us individually, follow Spirit Led Studios as well, and just continue to support us.
Yes, and remember that you can follow myself at Drew9106, and you can follow Marissa at Marissa191.
Look at you, look at you. Oh, and let's not forget Whole Health Pharmacy.
Yes, Whole Health Pharmacy.
But we didn't have their ad today, but I'll big them up.
Yeah.
So that is it. We will see you all hopefully next week.
Yeah, hopefully.